My guest today is Rachel Khoo, who is a cook, a writer and a presenter who started out her cooking career studying at the Cordon Bleu. Before that, she went to an art college, so I imagine changing direction from graduating art college and then moving to cooking school must have been quite exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I went to one of the best art colleges in the world, Central St Martin's. So going to that was pretty awesome as well. And I must say, I was even more, because I had to, going to St Martin's, I had to do several tests and it was like selection, whereas going to Cordon Bleu was just about having the money. So I just had to work a lot of jobs and save up a lot of hard cash to pay for the fees to go to Cordon Bleu. So those were the entry requirements of Le Cordon Bleu. So obviously it was super exciting moving to Paris, you know, being in Paris where I didn't speak French, didn't know anybody. That was pretty daunting. And going to Le Cordon Bleu, it was good fun. I didn't think so much about the prestige. I thought like, right, I'm getting closer to where I want to go career-wise. Because for me, the whole reason of going to Le Cordon Bleu was to get into food styling, which I kind of assisted when I was at art college. I assisted on some food shoots, but I couldn't, when I graduated, I couldn't get a paid job. They were all like, you've got to work for me for free. And I'm like, I've got to pay my rent. How am I supposed to do free work when I've got to pay my rent? So I ended up doing fashion, PR, marketing for a couple years. And then I went to Paris and thought I'll study at Cordon Bleu, do some get some more technical experience, and then try and get back into food styling. So that was the reason of going to Le Cordon Bleu. And it was cool. We had to wear these awful chef whites and it was awfully sweaty that summer when I studied because there was no aircon. You got all the ovens on. I just remember having one of the head of pastry. He loved himself so much. He would check out his reflection with his toque, you know, the big white chef's hat, and he would always readjust it in the oven mirror. So he loved himself a lot.
That's strange. I pictured it as being quite stuffy and traditional, lots of old copper pans and things, kind of old-fashioned in that way.
It's kind of old-fashioned because the first thing we learnt was how to say "oui chef." So it really is like oui chef, like being at the army. And that is the foundation of a kitchen. A professional kitchen is based on Escoffier, who's the chef who kind of developed that kind of system of like, you have the head chef, the sous chef, you have the chef de partie, and that was based on his background is the army. So that's the kind of background working in professional kitchens have. So you had that, you had to make sure you were always, you know, looking pristine. If you were messy, that meant or like had a messy outfit, that meant you were a bad chef. And in general, if you're messy, if your chef whites are not white, that means you're not a very good chef. If you're a clean chef, that's a good sign of somebody who really knows their way around the kitchen.
Sounds like they've got their priorities in the wrong place a bit there.
I don't know. There is something to be said about cleanliness and working in the kitchen and being organized, because it really does help with the process of cooking and making yourself more efficient. And especially if you're in a professional kitchen, you need to be very efficient. So having things all over the place is not going to work.
So once you'd had your training, the first thing you wanted to do is go and start writing your own cookbook, wasn't it?
No. I had a lot of hustling to do in between that. Oh yeah, I'm just going to write a cookbook. This is going back a while. This is 2006. So this is pre-social media. This is like blogs were around. So I had a blog. I started a blog to like you can actually go on my website. If you have the time and patience to click back, you can get to my first post, like me posting a picture of something I made at culinary school and said, oh, tasted good, but I made it the wrong way. And there's a photo. And that's why I got into blogging. But the cookbook thing, it took a while. I mean, I graduated from culinary school. I had many jobs. I sold perfume. I looked after kids. I taught English. I worked in an art gallery. I did telephone marketing. Anything to pay the bills. And then what really got my foot in the door was I managed to get a job in a culinary bookstore where we would do events for writers who were launching their books, and I would make the little kind of canapes from their books for the book signing. And so I like me hustling. I'm like, hi, my name's Rachel. Do you need anybody to help you test your recipes? And kind of give them my card and like, can I help out? And it was all about hustling. I mean, it was so like, people think it's easy peasy. Everything is, even today, I'm still hustling. I'm still pitching. If you want to get somewhere in the world, you've got to go knock on the doors, because nothing comes to you. Honestly, the majority of my jobs, and actually this chocolate series, which is out at the moment, came from me pitching to Discovery Network. Like, okay, I think I really want to do a chocolate series, and I want to explore everything around chocolate, not just the flavor, the taste, but also the cultural aspect, the historical aspect, the psychological aspect, all these different aspects. And why is chocolate so revered? Why is chocolate so loved in our society? So I kind of wanted to get underneath, the exterior of a chocolate wrapper in that sense. So all my work, ever since I've been a kid, I think I've been like hustling. I'm like, it's so the cookbook came about because I started testing recipes on other people's cookbooks. And so I was testing, developing recipes for other cookbooks. And the French publisher I was working for, they asked me, do you want to write your own cookbooks? And I said, yes. So I wrote 2 cookbooks in French before I wrote The Little Paris Kitchen. And that book came about because I emailed several publishers in the UK, say, hi, my name's Rachel. Do you have a couple of minutes? I know you're really busy, but I want to pitch you some ideas. And out of those 10 emails, I got 3 meetings. Out of those 3 meetings, I got 2 offers. And then I went with Michael Joseph, who are part of Penguin Random House. And that's how I got into writing cookbooks in the UK. And then the TV show came about because I was finishing off The Little Paris Kitchen. I was doing my pop-up restaurant in my flat. And the reason why I was doing a pop-up restaurant was I'd previously done pop-ups in Melbourne, Sydney, Buenos Aires, Berlin, London, around the world. And I knew it was a great way of testing out recipes, meeting people, but also not wasting food. So I thought, right, I can only fit a table for 2 in my room, in my studio, bed sit. And so I thought, why not invite people around for lunch? They can taste the recipes from the cookbook. They paid a donation to cover the ingredients. They could have second helpings if they really liked it. And that way I could get some feedback, not waste any food, and also get a little bit of money to cover the ingredients. So that was what I was doing. And at that time, I thought, nobody's really doing a TV show about cooking in Paris the way I had experienced it. So I wanted to tell this story. So the story was told within the book, but I also wanted to do a different medium of it. So I pitched that. I had a literary agent who helped me set up meetings with production companies in the UK, met lots of production companies. It's a bit like matchmaking. You're like, do I like you? Do you like me? Da, 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 da. And I found a small indie who like, right, gotcha. We understand what your vision is. Let's film a little taster. And that's how I ended up doing TV.
It's amazing to hear how far you can get with just persistence, really. I'd have thought to get a book deal, you'd have to write several books that never really got anywhere and just move up slowly. But you think if you have the right idea right from the start, you can make it work?
Look, I think to have success is you have to have a lot of failures. And I really think now I've kind of understood failure is no longer a failure if you put it in the right frame of mind. You know, if you look at failure like, okay, I didn't succeed in the way I wanted to succeed, but what can I draw from this, experience, and how can I make it into something I learn and grow from? And then, taking that failure, because I had many failures before I actually got to pitching The Little Paris Kitchen, but because I've been practicing my whole life to do things, and pitching and selling and all this stuff, the more you do it, the better you get it. I mean, Serena Williams once said in an interview, she was asked by a journalist, I don't know the exact words, but she was like, the journalist said, are you ready for this Grand Slam or whatever? And she's like, I've been ready my whole life. You just got to work at it. If you are not willing, there are loads of people. I think success is a combination of many things, but it's hard work, but there's loads of people who work hard. Then you've got to be willing to take the risk. So there are not so many people who are willing to take the risk, because taking a risk means you potentially, or most likely, you're not gonna get the result you want. So you're gonna be disappointed. So you've got to be able to handle that disappointment. So if you're willing to work hard and you are willing to take a risk, plus you've got a good idea, then you're on a winner.
What are some of the risks you've taken in your career? What's something you've really had to psych yourself up to do?
Okay, so moving to Paris, not speaking the language, not knowing anyone, having only enough money to pay for the course, leaving because I had a very well paid PR job in fashion and, so it was luxury fashion PR job. It was great. I was well paid. My parents pay off your student loan. Why are you going to Paris to live like a student again? So that was a big risk. And then, I used to call people. I sometimes pick up the phone and call people. Hi, my name's Rachel. The little kind of thing. Just taking those small risks. Nowadays it's so easy to email. I don't think you risk anything when you email. You can. There's nothing because I don't think it's pretty easy. You can just put an email together, but actually picking up the phone, it's a lot harder. And sometimes it's that persistency which will get you over the line and will set you apart from the other people. And then really embracing challenges. A lot of people living in a tiny studio of 21 square meters would have said, oh, I can't do anything in this kitchen. I've only got 2 gas hobs and a toy oven. There's nothing I can do. And I was like, oh, well, look, I'll just have to turn my whole living space into a kitchen. The fridge was in the living room. My bed was a futon, which I had to fold back when the guests came over. The only place you couldn't eat was in the bathroom. So, I just well, this is what I have. What can I make out of it? And then earlier this year, the first lockdown hit. I was a week away from filming the chocolate series, and that got all postponed. I was like, right, I have no work. I'm stuck in Sweden because I live in Sweden. I'm like, I can't work in the UK because this was all going to be filmed in the UK. And so I was like, what am I going to do? And I was like, right, okay. I emailed, Discovery and said, look, are you commissioning series? What are your constraints right now? What are the restrictions? I can put a series together within those constraints. And I pitched a series, and from pitch to filming was 4 weeks. And I filmed a series, Rachel Khoo, Simple Pleasures, within, we filmed less than 2 weeks, and it was a camera guy in my mother-in-law's kitchen in the middle of nowhere, but we managed to do it. It was a bit nuts. It was all a bit crazy and all higgledy-piggledy, but it's a beautiful series. It's really kind of just embracing those simple pleasures you can get from cooking, and you can watch it on the Discovery Plus network if you want to see how what it looks like and what my mother-in-law's kitchen looks like with my styling. I had to stick up tile stickers onto the wall, do a bit interior design there because there was no interior stylist. So I was trying to sew something for the dishwasher, and I can't sew. Don't get me on the Great British Sewing Bee. It's hopeless. So I just used pins, and I used double sticky tape to stick it on the dishwasher so the dishwasher wasn't all white. But resourcefulness will get you in a lot of places, and embracing the challenge. I think certainly in the TV industry right now, the last year or so with the pandemic happening, the production companies who have been able to say, we can find a solution, just tell us what we're working with, are the ones who are off the ground, are making content.
Let's talk about your new series, Rachel Khoo's Chocolate. Could you tell me what you're covering in the show? And you mentioned earlier that you wanted to talk about the psychological side of chocolate, which sounds to me like something that hasn't really been touched upon before. Could you also tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so it's peppered throughout the series. So there's not one particular episode is one is history, one is culture. So we kind of mix it up just to make it, at the end of the day, it's TV. You want people to be entertained. You want people to kind of escape a little bit when they're watching it. So, this is not a hard hitting documentary we're talking about. But there are lots of little fun facts and things you can pick up you might not have known from chocolate. And if you're ever doing a pub quiz about chocolate, you'll certainly win if you watch this series. So one like one of the episodes, I actually meet a writer who specializes in edible aphrodisiacs, and she researched the history of chocolate and also the language and the culture. And we kind of, she told me about, you know, from poets to writers to what London Youth Society was like. So we kind of explore that over an amazing chocolate tea time. But then there's, I remember I had the amazing opportunity to film at the Hampton Court Palace. And then we filmed when there was nobody there, which was even, you know, oh my goodness, you have a whole palace to yourself. Pretty amazing. So I got to go to the Royal Chocolate Kitchens, and I didn't actually know there was a Royal Chocolate Kitchen, or there was even a chocolate kitchen. And the historian there, he kind of walked me through and showed me the tools they used and talked about the history of how chocolate was consumed. So it was really interesting kind of that. I mean, there's so many bits. There are lots of little bits of interesting facts I kind of learned along the way, as well as some amazing chocolatiers. I mean, if you're into chocolate and the stuff which is happening in the UK at the moment, people always think Belgium, you know, France, Switzerland, they are the chocolate places, the go-to chocolate places. Well, actually, what's happening in the UK is so exciting, because unlike France, Switzerland and Belgium, who have this really kind of deep history of chocolate making, the UK have that kind of deep kind of confectionery chocolate making, but the artisanal chocolate making got lost a little bit with the industrialization, and now it's coming back. In the last kind of 5 to 10 years, it's really making a comeback, with so many bean to bar makers or chocolatiers who are embracing their heritage. I made a chocolatier who he studied mathematics and decided to become a chocolatier. And he's bringing his Indian heritage into chocolate making. So it's really exciting to see what's happening in the UK and show everybody that you don't need to go to Belgium or France or you know, Switzerland for amazing chocolates. There are some pretty like fantastic places in the UK.
So, Rachel, what would you like to offer up as your Who's Flying the Plane hidden gem?
Okay, so while I was filming the series and researching the series, I discovered these guys called Cocoa Runners, and it is a chocolate subscription service. So they scour the world for all these amazing chocolate bars. Mainly they are bean to bar. So they're these chocolate makers who will source the beans. They will then roast them. They will do the whole process and create chocolate bar. Now, these kind of chocolate bars are like tasting a fine wine or a coffee, because they go to different regions. You know, it might be in Costa Rica or Madagascar, I don't know. So you can literally travel the world through chocolate. So we can't travel that much nowadays, but I thought it's such a fun thing to kind of explore the world and the different flavors chocolate has through like a chocolate subscription service. And I really enjoy that. And also understanding you can taste chocolate in a different way. It's not about like wolfing down a quick, you know, chocolate bar or confectionery bar from the newsagent. It's actually, you take a little square, and you can do this with your friends. Actually, you have 3 different bars from different areas of the world, and you can all taste it and like, well, what notes do you taste and how does it melt in your mouth, and really experience chocolate in a different way, or more like a fine wine. And I think that's a fun thing to do, especially if you're looking to kind of develop your palate or looking to explore the chocolate world a little bit more in depth.
Rachel, please could you tell us where we can watch your new chocolate series? How can we follow you on social media and keep up to date with what you do?
So, okay, right. You can watch the chocolate series on Discovery Plus. So it's available to stream. It's really easy. It's also on the Food Network. So you can watch it on your TV. So there are many, many options. You can follow me on social media. I do have a newsletter. Also, what I'm really excited about or really happy about is all the recipes from the chocolate series, and there's some amazing, not just sweet recipes, but also savory recipes using chocolate. I've put together an e-cookbook, which is available to buy on my website, and all the proceeds are going to Women's Aid, who support women in domestic abuse environments. So you could do something great for yourself, get an amazing chocolate recipe book, and you help an amazing charity too. So please go to my website and download the book.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks a lot for joining me, Rachel.
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing your chocolate show.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed listening to this episode of Who's Flying the Plane, it would be much appreciated if you could give it a rating and a review on the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thanks a lot for listening.